first item on the agenda is approving the order of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the order of the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Second item is the minutes of the November 20th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Then we have a staff report from Sunny Brannick. Go ahead, Sunny.
All right. So we've had a lot of new things going on at the library in terms of staff. So Sarah Mettinger is our new reference librarian 1. She just started. And then we also got a new LA 1. She just recently started as well, Katie Reinhardt. And then Cheryl Lackman and Lori West. They're no longer reviewing applications for the 3-page positions. They are doing their interviews as we speak. So that should be decided on fairly quickly. And that's 2 for Maine and 1 for Carlson. And then teen librarian Bree Schmidt will be on FMLA starting in January. So Sarah Mettinger and Sarah Nelson will be helping take over that in the interim. Programming, upcoming events. For children's, on the 27th of December, we have our annual FPL Mania Design Contest. So kids 12 and under are invited to build something at home and bring it in. They do have just a short window between 2 and 3 to submit those, and then afterwards the judges will go through while there's some activities going on to keep the kids occupied, and then they announce them shortly after that, usually around 4:30.
Who are the judges and what are their qualifications?
Staff mostly. The children's department will all vote, and then they'll invite other people. So as many people as can get in to kind of look through and vote on things.
It is a very lively event.
I bet.
It is
Cute.
a lot of folks involved in that.
It's a lot of kids that day. It's great. And on the 31st, we are going to have PJ Masks New Year's Eve celebration. So the kids will be able to make their own masks for the night. Then they're going to suit up and test out their skills with some superhero activities. Everyone is welcome to participate, and there's no pre-registration for this one, which is nice.
What time is it? No?
It's on our website.
Okay, all right.
Adults, so we're going to have another silent reading party at the Front Street Tap Room on the 16th, and again, this is a 21 and up event. Those have been pretty popular. The Winter Readathon starts January 7th, and that's going to run through Sunday, March 3rd. And we have related activities planned for kids, teen, and adults. For adults, particularly in January, we're going to have like bullet journaling, the stamped tea towels, and the crocheted drink cozies. And then there will be more to come in February. And then we also, January through February, we are going to do another beginner yoga series. So that's always been very popular. And those will be down at the James Carlson Library, so check out our website if you're interested in those. And then past programs and events. On December 4th for children's, we did have the conclusion of the popular Libraries Dance program series. So we had members of Gasper School of Dance. They came every month to show the kids some techniques, and they also helped out with the story time. And yeah, they just taught the kids basic things. So over that 3-month period, we had 300 kids in attendance. So it was pretty well attended. And then on the 1st of this month, for teens, we had the Harry Potter celebration, and teens set up a Harry Potter escape room, and we are proud to say that all of the teens escaped, or maybe that means that we need to make the rooms harder. So yes, they had a lot of fun. Adults, the table at Pangea, that was held on November 17th at the Youngcom Center, and we had more than 270 people stop by our table to get information about what we're doing. November through December, we concluded our 4-part World War I on screen movie series. So it was part of this year's One Book, One Community reading project. And we had about 40 people attend each screening, so pretty well attended. And then on December 8th, we had our family holiday concert with the Fargo Moorhead choral artists, and we had 71 kids show up with their parents. So, all in all, it's been a really good month.
Exciting. Thank you. Director's report.
Yes, per your packet, you can see some activities there over the last month. One thing I'd point out is under Goal 5, you can see that the EDI workflow meeting, and just to give you, that's a kind of a fancy thing for electronic ordering, and what that's going to do for us, we're looking at rolling that out in 2019, is really going to change how we do things in terms of ordering, receiving, and paying for our materials, books, and everything. Right now, the system, what we have in order to maintain real-life budgeting, so we know where we are, is very, very, you can ask Betsy, is very paper-heavy. A lot of POs, a lot of invoices, a lot of this and that going back and forth to the finance and auditor's office. And Jason's been tirelessly working on this for the last 2.5 years. Yes, he has. And we're excited to get started on that, so it's going to be a real sea change for us. And the people over at the auditor's office are overjoyed because it's going to cut down on the paperwork immensely. It'll be a new challenge for us to work through it to make sure that we're keeping on top of things to know, but it's going to be a big change for us. If anybody has any other questions in terms of the items there.
Oh, yes, Jan.
Implementation date, have you got a target date?
Jan 2.
Wow, good luck.
Wow. Great. Any other questions on the director's report? Okay, how about the statistical report, Tim?
Right. Looking at visits or attendance, you can see we're down in terms of November of last year. But year-to-date, we're up 1% over last year. Program attendance is up 5% over last November, year-to-date 2%. Volunteer hours just up quite a bit in November over last November, and year-to-date just down just by 24 hours. Internet down 4% overall, and electronic activity in terms of web hits is down about 28% year-to-date. In terms of circulation, it's good to see print is really strong. In terms of overall, we're up almost 5% November of this year over last November, with looking at year-to-date just over 3%. And if we keep trending the way we are through the end of December, it'll be a record year in terms of overall circulation, anticipating well over 1 million in that regard, based on the kind of activity that we're seeing, and that's exciting, kind of across the board in terms of electronic e-collections and print, and physical media is kind of holding its own, sort of, but overall, things are very, very strong in terms of circulation.
I have a quick question about the web page hits.
Sure.
I know when I started, you used to talk about how we weren't comparing apples to apples. It was
right.
a different web page. But now that it's been a
Sure.
year of the new web page, are you at all concerned about the decrease in the number of
Well,
hits?
we had a conversation even today with the folks for the communications office in terms of the website. And, you know, they've been struggling with rolling it out and keeping up on it. And it's going to be a process. Every website is an evolution, essentially. I think we've had good conversation to kind of put together a process of how we communicate and how we work together to make it better.
Because you said it's managed by the city of Fargo
Correct.
staff?
Correct. And, you know, the big thing that we're working on right now is right, in the previous website, we had a calendar for events that was very searchable. Folks could find what they were looking for. Current one, not so much.
Okay.
And that's an evolution. But certainly, and like I said, we had a conversation today, and we are concerned. We are having conversations with them. We're looking at meeting with some programming people from the IS side in the middle of January to kind of look at what can be done in terms of the usability of the calendar or some kind of functionality in terms of just, searching our programming and this kind of thing.
So I forget, do we have a presence on Facebook?
Correct.
I mean, so are people maybe using that instead, in terms of finding events through Facebook?
I think
Yeah, I mean. 'cause
We
that
do
is
have,
complimentary.
through Melissa Duncan, our community relations person, we could have Melissa come and talk about our social media presence and kind of talk about that, might be good.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because if they're still going to Facebook to find the events, maybe that's fine, But thanks for answering that question.
Mhm.
So the budget, financials?
Right. Looking at donations, in November, we received $350 from an individual in memory of a loved one. In terms of expenditures, you see $785 in terms of programming. That was for the One Book, One Community author visit, and that was from the Friends, and also money for Crafternoons was also expended in November. And in terms of books and materials, there was $75 expended from a Women's Club donation for North Dakota collection books, and a Friends donation for the book page subscription. That was also expended in November. In terms of overall budget, we're getting down to the wire, obviously. Through the end of November, you can see right around almost 90% expended through 92% of the year lapsed. Right now, we're looking at, based on the projections, right around 23,000 remaining at the end of the year, out of 4,411,743. The tough thing is when you get down to the end is utility costs. Those aren't on a constant basis. They kind of move. Sometimes it's at the end of this month or the beginning of this month or what have you. So, but we're well within budget, and we worked hard to spend it down, obviously.
Okay, any questions about the,
Oh, and revenue is what it is.
Thank goodness.
Speaks for
It
itself.
is. It's not more, it's not less. It is what it is.
Okay, so no questions. Thank you, Tim. Friends of the Library report is next on the agenda. It doesn't look like we have anyone from the Friends of the Library today.
No friends.
We don't have any friends today. Darn it.
They sent their money, though.
However,
Yeah.
if I
Yes,
could, so Bob Jansen has been with us for years and years, and he's indicated there was an election recently.
Oh.
Do you know the results?
I believe
Yes.
Mary Beth Hegsted, who used to be on the library board, then
Yeah.
became a Friends, is now the new president, so no loss there, obviously.
Well, we certainly will welcome her, but it may be just a moment to say, it's also a great opportunity to remind us to become members too.
Yeah.
So with your donation, you can become a member of the Friends, because they are indeed friends.
You get a discount on the
Yeah.
book sales.
Pardon?
Yeah,
You get a discount on the book sales.
That's,
worth it in and of itself.
It's
Yeah.
amazing what they do with those book sales, I'll tell you what.
And
Yeah,
it's
no
amazing
kidding.
what they do with their charitable donation to us
Yeah.
too, so welcome. Mary
And this
Beth.
year, it was a record year in terms of their donations. I think it was over $23,000.
Oh, wow.
And I've seen, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, the growth that they've done within that organization through the bookstore and the sales at the branches and the various things they've done. I mean, when I first got here, it was a much different picture financially for the Friends than it is now. And to see the maturation and the work and the management to the store and everything that they do, they've come a long, long way.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure Mary Beth will carry the torch. I work with Mary Beth actually, and she wanted to come today, but we were busy with court business, so she wasn't able to come, but she wants to come soon, so she looks forward to it. Do we have any unfinished business? It says none, so I'm going to assume that means we don't have any. So we'll pass over that item. And then we have new business, overview of new collections.
I was able to bend Jason's arm to make him come back one more month, but it's not a material challenge.
Well, I wondered.
It's just
about
all
that
the
when I
exciting
saw.
things that, and it is, again, this goes back to the strategic plan and kind of identifying additional things, non-traditional things that we can bring that would be of real value to our customers and our patrons. So I'm going to let Jason take it away with what we got going on.
Yeah, so as Tim said, the strategic plan really put an emphasis on looking at these non-traditional collections in libraries. So instead of just books and movies and things that you typically see, what sort of library of things is what it's often called, can you add to the library? So we've launched two pretty unique collections this year, one being board games and one being internet hotspots. So I was just going to talk a little bit more about both of those. So our board game collection we launched in August of this year, and so I just brought one that was on the shelf here just as an example. But we have 45 games for adults, and then just about, or not for adults, but for all ages, aimed at an older audience. And in just a couple, maybe just last week, we launched the children's version, so games specifically aimed at children, board games, since we have about 50 of those. So altogether, we have almost 100 games, and they're wildly popular.
Awesome.
So for example, the adult games of the 45, we usually have about 75% of those checked out. So the first day I remember I went up there and I put all the games on the shelf and they barely fit, and now the shelves just always look very sparse.
Oh, cool.
So they're super popular, which is great. We tried to get just a huge range of games, everything from your classic games like Monopoly and Life to more of the more popular new Euro-style games like Settlers of Catan or Ticket to Ride and things like that. So we really tried to get a good range. Also things like board games. This one's a card game, just like different styles of games as well. And we're like, well, we'll see what's popular and look at what will expand. And it's just all popular, you know. Actually, our two most popular games are, in fact, Ticket to Ride and Monopoly. So that's kind of like the two ends of the spectrum in my mind of popular games. So they're really popular and they're flying off the shelves. We really just thought that they fit really well within the library world. You know, there's a lot of talk of different collections and what type of things you can bring, and there's things like, kind of the examples you always hear are things like a power tool collection or cooking stuff and things like that, which, you know, bring their whole, you know, pros and cons with them. But we felt like board games really work well in libraries because, you know, they fit a lot of the same themes in terms of, you know, they promote socialization in groups and learning and a lot of stuff like that. They also can be potentially cost prohibitive for people, and so we thought it was just a really good opportunity to kind of jump on this popular wave as well and give people access to these games. So yeah, so they've just been super popular, and we certainly plan to get some more in the near future here.
What's the checkout time?
So they check out for 3 weeks with 2 renewals. So we, you know, that's a pretty standard checkout time in our library, and we like to kind of fit it within existing structures when we can. And same, you know, we've tried to be very forgiving, I guess, in terms, you know, games are meant to be played. People are going to play these games. Things might break or get lost. And a lot of times, you know, unless the game is just completely destroyed or gone, we're not going to be really charging people for things unless it's, you know, completely integral to the game. And a lot of times we can get replacement parts and things too. And again, since August, it really, we've had essentially no issues in terms of lost pieces or things like that. So it's gone even better than I anticipated in that regard. So it's worked out pretty well.
I like that.
And then I couldn't bring a hotspot because they're all checked out, but I brought a flyer here. Yeah, so I can pass this around. These are just, they are internet hotspots, and we got 12 of those through a library-specific program. So this is a program, we did purchase them, but it's a program for libraries, so we get them at a reduced rate and reduced monthly fee for those. And so it's just, you know, like any internet hotspot, you check it out, and it provides internet access to you on, this one works on the Sprint network, So as long as you can connect to the Sprint network, you can connect any Wi-Fi device to it, like a phone or a tablet, computer, anything like that. And that's a similar checkout. That's 3 weeks with 2 renewals. And again, I think it just fits really great with libraries because it's sort of the definition of providing access to people. So, whether you're traveling or you don't have internet at home and you need it, this is just a great way to get it out to patrons. And again, they've been wildly popular as anticipated. So, we just launched those just this month, so also just a couple weeks ago. And it was one of those things where we assumed they just wouldn't be on the shelf. We have them behind the desk.
We
but-
might need 12 more in 19.
Yeah, that's sort of
Right.
the thought, yeah. So I'll be very curious to see if that popularity persists, because it's only been a couple weeks, but right now they're all checked out and super long hold list on them, so we'll see how that goes. But
Is it the same checkout time?
it is, yep, 3 weeks with 2 renewals. And with hotspots, one thing that is nice is if things are overdue or not being returned, we are able to remotely deactivate them. And from other libraries that use hotspots, that seems like a good way to get them returned pretty
Right.
quickly. So,
That's a good point. How much do those cost?
so they were 120 a piece,
Okay.
and then $10 per month for
Okay.
the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really exciting. I love the board games. That's super cool.
And Jason, we also, for staff, we've come up with a document for folks to make suggestions. I believe we have that. That also is part of the strategic plan. So there's also that kind of grassroots kind of feedback that we're also looking at. Now, obviously, everything, you can't buy everything. So it'll be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, but it's certainly, and I think Jason's done a good job in this, getting the first go is that really finding things that are related to mission and not wandering too far off right away. But yeah, it's exciting to see what else, and obviously hit 2 home runs and probably be buying more of each, so.
That is the hope.
Good job. Yes, Jan?
How did we, given the number of hits that's declining on our website, how did you roll this out and announce it to our patrons?
So we did have, like the title page newsletter and things, but also social media, again, was a really big aspect of that. And I think we tried to think about that as well, especially with something like games. I think you're more likely to hit that clientele in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. And then, we put out a press release, and I did end up on the news and radio a couple times, so talking
All
about it. But
media.
yeah. So, yeah, word gets out, and one thing that's been really great about the board games is that it sort of has continued to snowball. I think word of mouth has really just continued along. Check out a board game at the library. Like, oh, cool.
And I remember it had to be like it's all a blur, but 4 to 5 years ago, a woman came and was absolutely incensed in the children's that we did not have board games. And it was like, how do we, and so that was kind of, what are we going to, and then obviously looking at through planning and now if she ever comes back, they're set.
Way to respond to public pressure.
Not pressure.
Public input.
Public input, yes,
Input.
exactly, right, exactly. Much better way to look at it. So, is that it for you, Jason?
That is it for me.
Okay, thank you.
For now.
For now.
Till
Public-
next month. I guess.
Right,
We'll give you
good.
a
We like to have you. Any public comment? Doesn't look like it. All right, well then our next regular meeting is January 15th.
And it will be here.
Okay,
February will be up the hill and into the new city hall,
oh, wow.
the new chambers.
Awesome.
So-
Cool.
And I've been in there. It's a nice space. It's very nice.
Oh, exciting. Okay, awesome. Well, I will look forward to that. Okay, well, with that, I guess the December meeting of the Fargo Public Library Board of Directors is adjourned.